I'm Wendy Moran, an assurance partner at McGowan Hurst Clark & Smith. Today I'm going to talk about some specific considerations for real estate companies when adopting the new 5-step revenue recognition model. Step 1, identify the contract with the customer. The new guidance only applies to contracts with customers. A customer is defined as a party that has contracted with an entity to obtain goods or services that are an output of the entity's ordinary activities in exchange for consideration. An example of this is a sale of a building by a commercial real estate developer. Activities and transactions outside of the entity's ordinary activities are not within the scope of the new guidance. For example, sale of a building by a manufacturing entity. Sales to non-customers will fall under guidance in FASB ASC 61020 or 81010, depending on the characteristics of the sale. When a contract with a customer does not meet the required criteria in the new guidance and cash is received from a customer, the entity should defer this revenue until all obligations are fulfilled and all consideration is received. This may result in many contracts in the real estate industry undergoing changes in order to meet the accounting definition of a contract under the new revenue recognition guidance. One of the criteria a contract with a customer must meet under the new guidance is that the collectibility is considerable and is probable. This may be challenging when the real estate seller provides significant financing to the buyer. The new guidance does provide specific examples of how to evaluate collectibility in this situation, and companies may find these examples very helpful in the determination. Step 2, identify the performance obligations. Real estate entities often perform under contracts that contain multiple deliverables. For example, a company might provide property management services, the development of amenities, property construction, and even design services. The new revenue guidance requires an entity to determine whether these other deliverables in the contract are separate performance obligation, and this requires significant judgment on the part of the company. Step 3, determine the transaction price. Real estate entities commonly have variable consideration in their contracts. Variable consideration includes price concession and performance-based management fees. Under existing guidance, entities generally would not recognize revenue until all performance conditions are complete. Under the new guidance, variable consideration should be estimated and recognized throughout the life of the contract if it is probable that a significant reversal of that revenue will not take place. Step 4, allocate the transaction price to the performance obligations. Real estate entities that identify multiple performance obligations in a contract will need to allocate the transaction price to each separate performance obligation. This is typically accomplished by determining the relative standalone selling prices of the distinct goods or services within that contract. Entities should assess variable consideration and determine if such relates to the entire contract or to just one or two distinct deliverables. Step 5, recognize revenue when or as performance obligations are satisfied. Real estate entities will need to determine if revenue is recognized at a point in time or over time. No broad rule of thumb will apply to real estate entities when it comes to this determination. The timing of revenue recognition will depend on the individual contracts and the nature of the performance obligations within those contracts. The new guidance has examples that illustrate the assessment of the timing of revenue recognition for a multi-unit residential complex developer. Entities may find this example extremely helpful as they begin this assessment. The above are just a few examples of items that real estate entities should be mindful of when it comes to the new revenue recognition guidance. Please view our other vlogs on revenue recognition for additional detail and/or contact your accounting professional or us here at McGowan Hurst Clark & Smith.